Hey guys, welcome to another special edition here on this Wednesday of the Fins Faithful podcast. Thanks for joining us on this Wednesday evening. I hope you all had a really good day. Of course, we're always with you guys on YouTube. Please make sure, I know we ask a lot, hit that thumbs up, the little bell to subscribe to the channel. And also, I know Jason loves when you guys are interactive in the chat, but also when you comment on the video, it also helps the channel, but it kind of makes it fun for us. So we appreciate you joining us. Well, we begin a new series here, the Miami Dolphins Discussion series. It's episode 1. We're going to start out with a banger. We got back-to-back episodes this week. We'll let you know who's coming on tomorrow at the end of the episode. But today on the first episode, we're going to have a very special guest. Curtis, you know him, Ace Per Head on his YouTube channel where he has NFL Dolphin content, aceperhead.com. And also he's a writer for Fins News. So we're excited to have him. Kind of the purpose of the discussion series is kind of Jason and I will each week we'll go in depth one-on-one with a guest, and we'll talk about not only the Dolphins but talk about them and their journey, how they got to this point. But of course, we're not going to be able to avoid the topic. We're all here to talk about the Miami Dolphins, so should be a fun series. I'm excited about the guests we're lined up, and we're excited to bring this content to you guys. Jason, welcome to the discussion series. We shelved officially the on-season. Season 1 is in the books, but don't worry, we'll be back season 2. And the next offseason, getting you ready with even more draft and free agency. When that whole time comes around, it'll be here before you know it. Jason, how are you? My partner in crime, as always, Jason Sarney.
Doing well, George. Hope you're doing well. And thank you, everybody, for joining us. Don't worry, we'll get you out before the Panthers take the ice.
Yes.
So, vamos gatos, everybody. But,
vamos gatos, yeah.
Anyway, no, it's always a pleasure to do this. We're going to obviously switch up the content now that we're leading into, now in OTAs, the mini camps, the time off, the training camp. And then all of a sudden we're in the regular season. So the on-season is shelved, but we're in the almost regular season mode. So we're going to have fun with some discussions.
Yeah, and we got a lot of things planned in the regular season, Jason and myself. Could be a new look, but we got a lot of content coming on. But we wanted to save the on-season specifically for that time, the draft and free agency, and kind of keep that fresh. But don't worry, we got even more content coming up. All right, enough of us yapping. Let's bring on our first guest of the Miami Dolphins Discussion series. Without further ado, let's bring on the man, Curtis. How are you, brother?
I'm doing good, man. Thank you, George. Thank you, Jason. It's really honored to be on. I'm really looking forward to it. I even see my man Cliff D and Costa Nostra in there.
Yeah.
I know them, so I'm feeling a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah.
How you guys doing? Thank you again. I appreciate it.
Good. We're happy to have you on. No pressure. We're starting off strong at the gate with the first episode with you, Curtis.
No.
This is like Curtis, New Yorker over there. We're starting off with Ricky Henderson at the top of the lineup.
Oh, dude, I remember watching that on my black and white TV with my cards in my hand, dude. I still remember those days. Oh, those were sweet days, man. Reggie, remember Reggie? Reggie was like a god in New York during that time.
First time listener here.
If I'm not mistaken.
Shout out to the Dive Bar podcast.
Bobby.
Yeah, Bobby. It feels like first time listener, first time caller. What are we on? Sports radio here? Speaking of sports radio, that's a teaser for next guest we have on tomorrow. But shout out to everybody in the chat. Shout out to everybody here. All right, let's get into it, Curtis. Let's start here. Let's start with, you got a lot going on. You have your YouTube channel. You talk NFL, Dolphins. You have your website. You write for Fins News. Tell us kind of the journey, how it all started, how you built all this, and kind of where you're at today.
It was weird. I'm a guy that you can find very few pictures of. I don't like pictures. I never liked any of the upfront stuff. But I had a friend who introduced me to my sponsors, Ace Per Head, decade ago maybe, and they asked me to do some writing about the Dolphins. So I started writing for the Dolphins, and then I was like, these articles are kind of, they need some video. So I started putting video up on YouTube, like, I don't know, 8 or 9 years ago. And then one day they came to me and they're like, would you like to do a YouTube channel for us? YouTube, I didn't even pay attention to it. I didn't even know there was Dolphins talk on YouTube. I'm a Cro-Magnon. I said, no, I don't want to do it. I'm like, I don't like the camera. I told my wife, and then she said, no, you're going to do it. So I had to come back and say, I'm going to do it. And so basically I've been talking Dolphins, football in general. I was really covering more teams than just the Dolphins, but I got sick. I almost died a couple of years ago.
Oh, really?
And then, I got some blood clots, and it was crazy, man. I remember walking out of the doctors, and the doctor said, you can't leave the hospital. You're going to be dead. and I had to go tell my family who's sitting there waiting for me. And I said, honey, we got to go. I just left. I took my pills and got out, and I survived, but it's been a battle for a couple of years. So I lost energy, and I just kind of focused on the Dolphins. I'm trying to re-expand now that I'm healthy again. But I've been doing since 2021. I love talking to people. I love, like, I met Jason, and I was actually nervous trying to reach out to him. I'm not that kind of guy. But it was so cool. He was such a nice guy. I've met guys like Alf and Bobby, and there's a bunch of really, really awesome people. And that's what it really means to me. I don't go to the bar. I got a family. So it's a chance to talk football. I love the game. I've always been obsessed with the game. I think it's the greatest game in the history of mankind. It's like this living mock war. And I study strategy and tactics and all that stuff. So I've been doing it since 2021, covering the Dolphins, losing hair, getting gray over this, trying to, present a pretty package, it's like, so, it's been a bit of a ride, but I've had such great support. So many awesome people that I've met that supported me, kept me in the gig, met some awesome content providers. And so it's definitely not what I ever intended to do. I want to be a writer. I want to be the guy living in the mountains, writing books, and nobody sees you. But my wife told me, and I have no choice. She was right, though. I do enjoy it. I've kind of gotten over the fear, the camera, and that stuff. But, it is what it is. You got to sometimes go out there into the area where you're not comfortable to do the things that you really like to do and you want to do. So that's been the whole thing. And I love it, So that's my journey. Now here I am, 2025, with another rebuild. I thought the last rebuild, when I first started, was the right one, and it kind of quickly in 2021 showed me there's some real issues there. And so I've kind of played a little bit of the sour grapes guy, kind of saying, I'm not really sure what we're seeing here is what everybody's telling us, or the general theme was. But I do believe this season it can be the right build, because we were not building right. We had all the capital and we didn't fire right. So I'm praying this is it. I want to cover a happy team. I want the fans to be arguing with other fan bases. I want people, just to tell them good stories. I want to be happy. I'm a Dolphins fan. So that's where we're at, 25, and I'm trying, getting ready for the season. I'm praying we could be like some of these other fan bases and just tell good stories. So that's really it. I still write for Fins News. I do the Twitter thing. I try, but that area is kind of weird. I try to be like scientific or analytical about the game, but it's kind of more of like an emotionally based area, the Twitter thing, but I got to do it. So that's it. That's the whole deal. You guys know you do it.
Yeah. No, it's funny you say that, because I resonate with a lot you say, because I got into this probably a year ago, just doing an Apple podcast, and then probably right before right during the season, I started the YouTube page, and there's a lot that comes with it. It's a lot different than I expected, but again, whatever this works or it doesn't work, or the success level I have, the friendships I built out of this is what surprised me the most. Like Jason and other guys we have in common, and hopefully like yourself, it's what you take away from this. And again, I agree. Let's have the day where we're stop fighting in between each other, everybody trying to compete, and just let's fight the Jets fans and the Buffalo fans, and those days coming back. But
hallelujah, the pearly gates opening up.
Are we calling it? Yeah. Is it a reset? Is it a rebuild? I'm on our last episode. I said their words versus their actions. They're hard to figure. They're hard to figure out. But I do agree with you.
John, who's a big tell. John, what they're
we're going to get into that. We're going to get into that. And here's the thing. Yeah, that will be a big tell. And here's the other thing. I agree. This is the type of draft you start year one of a rebuild. This is how it should have started.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? This is you didn't need, as much as we like Jalen Waddle, you look back, you don't need, those are the players you get at the end. The Penny Sewells are the guys you get first.
You're talking my words. You're talking my thought.
Yeah, so shout out to everybody in the chat. Shout out to everybody to listen. Make sure you guys come on over YouTube, guys. Hit that thumbs up and subscribe, and make sure you get in the chat and the discussion.
I can't believe you're doing this only for a year. You're better than me. I've been doing it since 2021. Really? I still don't even know how to promote myself.
Dude's a natural, and he works his ass off.
100%.
I appreciate that. Yeah,
I was way longer.
No, man. A year is just. I started at the beginning of the season, the YouTube, but a year is just on the podcast. That's just on the Apple. But I appreciate the kind words, man. I'm getting some positive feedback, and I appreciate it from somebody like you.
It.
All right. So should we get into the hot topics? There's two big storylines going on right now, right? It's the
just two
to start. We can unfold a smorgasbord of topics, but let's start with Jalen Ramsey, because I think that's the one that everybody thinks is going to be more immediate happen. It's been talked about. We pounded it to the table, but I will say, what do you think? The question is, do you think there was a world that Mike McDaniel should be held responsible why he didn't figure this out with Jalen? Why are we getting rid of these type of players? Nobody talks about that, right? Because Jalen's done this in the past. But is there a world where you should have said, hey, man, tough cookie, man. We're trying to compete here. Figure it out.
Well, the thing is, it's like the first rule of Dolphins fan club is don't talk about Chris Grier. I've never seen a guy.
I talk about him.
Yeah, I've never seen a guy who can avoid being pinned down for responsibility. And I was a real huge. This is crazy, but I'm like Mr. Anti-Grier. But I loved Grier when I first started doing this thing. All those picks for Tunsil, I was like, this is brilliant.
Yeah,
I mean, we had a host of picks. But that's what the thing with the Dolphins, we're almost schizophrenic. We start doing one thing and one idea and philosophy, and then out of the blue in the middle of it, we start doing something else. When McDaniel got here, we went hot and heavy. We went from slow boil build, a young talent, to let's win now. And it's really got to come down to the GM. He's in charge. I mean, we can never get exact answers, but whatever McDaniel is, he came in, he was a rookie, green head run coordinator coach who's asked to do OC, HC, and win now. And Grier's been here 24 years. He's entrenched. It's him. Even if McDaniel says, hey, let's go get a kicker in the first round, he's got to be the guy to say, no, that's insane. So it's always got to go back to the GM. Now, on the field, that's McDaniel's problem. If you had the right players and they're failing, I'm not a big McDaniel fan. I'm not an anti-McDaniel. I think that the guy wasn't given a great situation, and he clearly has to grow a lot. But for me, look, it's old school, man. You're the leader. You take responsibility. And so we're in cap hell. I was saying it in 2022. We're going to lose Wilkins. We're going to lose Hunt. I said, Van Ginkel's probably going to be gone too. No, we got plenty of money. I said, no, look at the books. And it was clear the rebuild was and we're broke next year. So all this stuff is about for me, it's 2027. We draft right this year, next year. 27 opens the floodgates of cap, and then we can make our move. But we've been pinned in by making stupid trades who Grier's in charge of. So for me, it goes back to Grier on the macro level.
Yeah, man, it's almost like we talked before we came on the show, because I agree exactly with what you're saying. Grier's been here for a long time. And yes, he's been involved in some capacity.
Yeah.
He's director of college scouting, assistant GM. I've never been a fan of his, because you kind of this team keeps chasing their tail because they're so desperate to get over the hump. They're almost getting in their own way, and they got to remove the stink from the building, right? And that's what they should have done a long time ago. But Stephen Ross, I don't know if you know this, Curtis. He was traumatized by the Dennis Hickey situation. He was traumatized by that, and he has a guy in Chris Grier who's not horrible at his job. He's just not great at it, just like the product on the field. Somewhere in the middle, he amplifies what the teams. What the result? He kind of amplifies what his teams are, and it should have been time to move on. But you make a great point. Every team's going to have this reset like we're doing. The Rams have to do it. They had to do it. Mm-hmm. Problem is they came off a Super Bowl win. The scary part here and the most concerning part is Grier tried it both ways. Let's get all the picks. I thought he left the train too early, Curtis. I thought they should have kept going on that route, right? He left that train. Then let's get old. Let's do the Rams. Let's just try it.
He's a copy. He doesn't have the high level
conviction.
And what it is there's always the guy that's the genius that sets the trend, and then there's the other guys that want to copy him, but it's a pale copy, and that's who he is. He doesn't know who he is. I don't even think he really understands things, basic stuff. And so he goes, "Oh, I like that. That looks brilliant," and he copies it, and then he changes it in 2 or 3 years. So
that's exactly right, Curtis. Because we're on like the third or fourth variation of what he was trying to do. Was it the Patriots? Was it the Niners? Is it the Rams? What are you doing here? So we don't even know what his vision is. Does he have a vision? So, when you look at what he's trying to do, what do you make of it?
Well, this is the thing. Look, I do this for a living, but I don't have access like he has. And I talked in 2022, guys, notice the way this league's moving. It's moving to pass balance. So that means if you're going to run pass balance, A and B gap is critical. That means D tackle contracts, offensive line, especially interior offensive line, is going to go through the roof. But he bet against Hunt. He bet against Wilkins. He could have signed him for peanuts in like 22, I think, or 23, 22. And he chose not to. He figured, they're not going to do really good. And he didn't see the cycle shift. He was still living in fun ball. That shows me that he is almost oblivious. Because if a pumpkin head like me doing YouTube can figure it out, then how is he not? And that's why I just think he thinks he's a genius, but he's really, not, far from it. So I don't know.
It's the thing is I always say, where's his power move? Like, where's the conviction? And I thought we were going to, Curtis and Jason, you know this. I thought we were going to get a desperate Greer. Like he knew, oh man, it's time here. This is my last season. Well, it doesn't look like that. Either somebody told him the checkbook's closed. We got to start looking at down the road and reset these books, pile up draft picks for 26. And like you said, make a run in 26 or 27 again. But are we going to let the same group do it for a third or fourth time? That's the interesting part of this. And that's and I think they might be, as crazy as it sounds, I think they might be. So, I just think Greer almost, because what I think will happen, Curtis, is I think if anybody's going to be in trouble, it's going to be McDaniel, and Greer will get repositioned to almost a promotion, but not really a promotion.
That's what I'm hoping.
Yeah, where he's an overseer of things. And guess what? I actually think that's okay, because he lets somebody else who has conviction, who can make decisions on roster personnel, do it. And he kind of is a hub. That's his strength. He's miraculously survived all these years doing something right. Like, he's a great guy on the surface, but don't get it twisted.
Oh, he's an assassin.
Yeah. Part of the reason he doesn't want conviction is because that comes with accountability, and that comes with black and white. You did this, you did that. He can go in the office and say, but I just gave what Flores won. I just gave what McDaniel won. And I said, after this, you're the general manager. Somebody's got to be responsible. Say, hey, Mike, guess what? I know you think we don't need offensive guards we just need the skill players, but I think this is better for the long-term future of Tua and the organization. He didn't do that because he doesn't want to do that, because that puts him accountable. And I don't think Garfinkel helps. And that's another whole other subject of mixing in the business. But all right. So we said Ramsey. What's a fair value for Ramsey for you? Would you be okay with?
I said originally, I thought Chris Kaufman said fourth. I thought it was fair, but I thought like a fifth conditional or maybe even a fourth conditional. Yeah. So if he ends up being a Pro Bowler, because if you look at the contract, Spork put it out, it's really a $21-something million deal for 1 year, and we'll eat like maybe, I forgot, it was like 20-something million, but we get some money back. So it's like maybe 18 million dead for us. So, if you get I think a fair value is like a fifth round pick that could be a conditional up to a third if he plays to a certain level, or maybe just a flat fourth. So I think that general area, because he's 31.
Yeah, I kind of had it like we had a show where we had a couple mock trades. We had like Dallas giving a fourth and Luke Schumacher, something like that, at tight end, and that was before the Jonnu Smith. But speaking of Jonnu Smith, Jason, I know it's a subject you want to get touch on.
Listen, before I ask Curtis, and I'm very interested in what you think business-wise Greer and the Dolphins should do with Jonnu. But for everyone out there, Jonnu, yes, had an absolute career year last year. Mm-hmm. Franchise record across the board for the Dolphins, Triple Crown winner. And I know it was his fourth team, but to say journeyman with one good year is a little short-sighted. I'm going to tell you why. This potential was always there. If you look at one of his last year in Tennessee, he had 8 touchdowns with Ryan Tannehill. He then goes and signs, in my opinion, the wrong contract with New England, who he was severely underutilized as a number 2 tight end. And he had like 48 targets one year and like 29 targets the other year. Didn't work. And he was behind Hunter Henry, who got more targets by a mile. And then he signs another deal with the Atlanta Falcons, does very well under Arthur Smith to the point of records for him, career highs in receptions and yards. And then all of a sudden he comes to Miami. Slow out the gates, mind you. Weeks 1 through 5, not much. Then all of a sudden, lightning. And this is a guy who wants to stay here. He did not ask for a trade. Mm-hmm. He's got yards after catch ability that is comparable, I kid you not, with George Kittle. What's fair here? We understand it's just the 1 year in Miami. He's got another year in the contract. But where do you stand? Dolphins, Smith, a mixture of both. What's your thoughts?
How old is he? He's going
to be 30.
30.
He's going to be 30. So he'll be 30 this year, 31 and 32. Look, when you went over to his time with Atlanta, he had the highest level of cushion, 8.8 yards of all receivers. And so the guy has been very talented, but he was with the Titans, no quarterback. He was with Atlanta, no quarterback. I think he had Mac Jones. That was it the year he was with the Pats. He was with Mac Jones, right?
Yeah.
So this is, receivers are highly dependent on the quarterback, just like the quarterback's highly dependent on the receivers and the offensive line. The guy's a talent. He can't really block, but he's unbelievable. He can run the football. He can line up in the backfield. He can catch his yards after catch. But last year with us, I couldn't believe it took him that long, but we can't block long enough to really get your standard tight end plays off. So we started using him in these quick throws, the screens, and he took off. And then teams remember he was running screens and it was so successful. And the teams was like, all right, we got it. And then all of a sudden he started shutting down. And so the guy's very talented. He's, 30, you could probably get maybe 2 more years out of him. I think a 4th round pick. Third is probably too high.
So are you in the trade him? Let's just get value for him now, or do you see a mutual reciprocal situation here for them?
Well, this is the thing with you can't in the NFL. The build has to have the right pieces, but it all has to come together in synchronicity at the right time. We, unless I'm extremely wrong, we're not in an area to have severe success. To me, 2027 is the real open window. Is he going to be there for us? No, but if a 4th round pick, or, you could use a trade up to get a guy who's going to be here for 10 years, and that's going to be a low salary to get you through this, that you could develop maybe next year so he knocks the green off and he's ready for 2027's more value. Because if you keep him this year, you're getting value this year. You're helping this season out. But is that taking you anywhere? And so for me, I don't care. If he stays, that's fine. But I just don't see anything but the 2027 window for real success. So I would move off him. You can, move him a year early rather than a year late. Because if he has a big season this year, what are you going to do next year? His value's going to go down in trading because it'd be 31. So this might be the best time to get long-term value. And that's where we're at. It's, we got to find out. Tua's Vale is going to be the guy. McDaniel's going to be the guy. All these draft picks, are they what we hope they're going to be? There's a lot from here to there. And more ammo, I think, is what it's about. So I like him.
Yeah, I've kind of, as this has gone on. As this has gone on for day, I was going to ask you the case against. I know everybody wants to keep him. I was going to ask you the case against it, and you just made it. Now, I agree with you on some points. I think the problem is fans don't want to see that is because Greer's here and McDaniel's here. They don't want to think the rebuild's already started because they don't want them to be a part of it, right?
I know.
There's a lot of things going on. That 26 quarterback class is loaded. So whether Tua stays healthy or not, it's loaded. I've already started. We do a big draft stuff here. I know you're a draft guy, Curtis, and
not like you guys. Yeah, we
did a bunch of stuff, and I already started looking at the quarterbacks next year. And there's a kid from South Carolina who's just a monster. He reminds me of a young Dante Culpepper, the Minnesota Dante Culpepper. No, but just that kind of physical tools, and I think that's what we want to see in the quarterback position. I want a guy coming off the bus that I don't have to worry about in January, December in Pittsburgh or Kansas City. That we got to have a guy who physically compete with these other guys. Now, it's not to say Tua's a top 10, 12 quarterback. When healthy, he gives you a floor, which is part of the problem. He gives you an 8 or 9 win floor. The question is, how much does he raise the ceiling? And forget about the injuries. I have questions about him winning big games against great defenses at the end. But he's a really good quarterback, and he's hard to find a better one. They're not walking on the streets. But anyways, that's not my point. My point is that next year's draft is going to be loaded, and they got to figure out the quarterback. If he doesn't stay healthy, the coach. What are you doing with the general manager? And there's a reason why they're doing this and not giving out big contracts. You're right, Curtis, that they're not giving out big contracts. They're not aggressive in the cornerback market. A team willing to win now, especially a Chris Greer. You're aggressive in the corner market. You're not trading for a pick next year in this draft. You're adding as much guys this year. So they're looking towards the future. I think people don't want to admit that because they see this same regime and they're like, man, are we going to let them do it again? But it looks like they might let them do it again. So yeah, and I think here's a case against Jonnu. His trade value is never going to be higher. He's 30 years old. And let's be honest, he ate a lot off what these teams were doing in coverage with Waddle and Hill. Yeah. And it was open underneath like nobody's business. We got to be honest about that. I agree with Jason to a point. He's not this one year wonder as much as everybody's saying. No, he's been a good guy in this league. But if that's true, and that's the case, and their actions tell us, the smartest thing probably is to move off him when his value is the highest at 30 years old and get a 4th round pick. And you have 2/3, 2/4 already next year, and a really good quarterback class draft if you have to pivot that way. So I kind of agree with you, Curtis. There,
you make a great point, Curtis. I mean, I almost want
to. They come out once in a while in the blue moon.
You do, and it's almost like, as much as I like him, as much as I think he can have a great year, regardless of where he is, Pittsburgh, might be time to just get more picks. But I'm still for 2 reasons, and I love both of your opinion on this. It's almost like the pattern of not keeping the right people home. When I say the right people that actually want to be here.
The optics won't look good if they trade him. I will say that.
Sure.
They won't look good.
Here's the optics. It's almost the auditory. Forget optics.
Yeah.
What I hear is McDaniel saying that Freudian slip right there, Randy. But for McDaniel to say, we're looking to win. We're not, this is not a rebuild, whatever, in whatever variation. And then to say, or to indicate that they're looking for leadership. You got a guy who is a leader, who helps you win, who I think simply, folks, is looking for one more year of security. Look, he's going to be 30. He's going to be 31 on the next year of the contract, obviously. So you want a security, God forbid, that he's going to play football and be paid for it for another year.
Oh, yeah.
Preferably in Miami, as per reports. So, if you're not accommodating someone who's going to break franchise records, helps you win, can mentor the other young tight ends who could be heir apparents or just other offensive players, defensive players in the room, what are we doing here? I feel like we're building a team with Jenga blocks, and you can't make a solid structure when you keep on taking pieces out from every area in which you're trying to build. So my short question is, what are we doing here?
Well, I'm sorry, George. You can go.
No. Go ahead. That's the question I've been trying to ask myself as well.
The problem is, it starts with Ross. Real good leadership doesn't do what the people they're leading want. They do what they need.
That's right.
And Ross, he's wanted to win, but he's also wanted to please the fans. And it's that half step you were talking about before, George. And then you got Greer, who just wants to appease Ross, and he wants to appease the fans. So the reality is, the goal is not to get some nice wins or to appease, it's to win a Super Bowl. And the problem is, you want good leadership. You got to get the leadership to start at the top, and the top has to make the hard decisions. And I thought Ross did that when he said, look, we're doing the same thing over and over again. It's the definition of insanity. I'm stepping out. We're going to build young. But he was involved through that whole period in the backdrop, whether it was Beal or, whatever. But then you could tell something, because in 22, they cut that. 3 years after that big speech, they totally scrapped everything and went into acceleration mode, because they were going to raise ticket prices the next year, and they had to have a good winner to raise it like 30%. And so the problem is that when you're building a team, you got to add the right assets, but they all got to come together at the right point. It's got to gel at the right moment. And so if you just want to have success now, and John's not going to be there for us when we gel for the big ring push, but a 4th round pick that you can use to get a player who will, or that 4th round pick could be a player who will. It's all got to be about, for me, gelling and starting to really kick it off in 27, and he won't be here. And so I just think that that's the main problem. If we are, this is another thing too. They lie to us. They can't just tell us the truth. Oh, this is the best offensive line I've felt in years. And like, they just lie. Just say, look, they can't come out and say Greer can't even come. McDaniel, he was had things the way he did it, but now he's doing the way we want. He can never even admit I screwed up. I've never heard him once say I screwed up. That build, all those unprecedented picks were wasted, flushed down the toilet. The majority of it's gone. It was a failed build. That's the truth. We're restarting now, and we're going to do it right. But they can't do that. They lie. That's all they do, optics and lying. And so the truth is, we are going to be a struggling team this year. There's too many good teams in the AFC. I mean, we can maybe make some nice stuff out of it, but we're not winning anything real. And next year, probably too. 27, but he can't do it because he wants to sell the seats. He wants everybody to be full of hopium. You can already see the hopium train coming out of the tunnel. Oh, it's not true. It's just another hype job. And if our leadership is delusional or trying to treat us like infants, then it's not a good sign. And the truth is, this draft class could be the best draft class we had in a long, long time. Yeah. Truth is, we could be hitting the right NFL cycle and not chasing, but at the right time, doing it the right way. That's the hope. The hope isn't that we're taking off and going to knock it out of the park this year and next. So I don't know. I just think it starts at the top. The Dolphin fans are treated like fools. And there's a huge hype job on us every year. I feel that's why I play the hardball that I do on my channel, because I was the guy that was always going, it's our year, boom. It was our year, boom, over and over and over again. And I didn't want to do that to my viewers, but that's the truth. And it's fine. Find out what 2 is about. Use that 2026 class to get the quarterback you want for the future. Move off to add another good draft class. Pool all this talent in the trenches and start hitting those skills, and then you build a physical team that go on the road in the cold against the New Englands and the Jets and the KCs. We screwed up. Greer screwed up. He failed. He wet the bed. That's the truth, but they'll never admit it. Until they do, then I don't know. But I'm hoping, as you said, Alfred 3 yards per carry knows a lot. Guy's super smart, super in touch. He said that Greer is going to get phased out. He's going to get a promotion out of there. But really, Marvin Allen's in the background. Marvin Allen, a former running back, right?
Oh, yeah.
So this is a guy that understands the game, the physicality. And it goes back to the second part. I'm sorry, am I ranting?
No, please. This is why we have you on.
This is it.
Football is a pseudo-militaristic sport. Now, Ross has always wanted to build a corporate environment. He likes separations of powers. That's not how you run a football team. Greer is one of those pencil pusher guys who's got to hang out and he cries in the corner. You got to have half a barbarian and half an erudite as your GM, someone who understands the physicality, the brutality of the sport, and builds it out that way. But we've got soft people in charge. You might want to say McDaniel, but we've got to get tough guys, toughness. And we don't have it. And it's the corporate structure. It's not a football structure. There's not really a lot of honor. You know, in football, there's 3 phases. It's the initial phase. Everybody's happy, but everybody's honorable. It's the warrior code. Second phase, you're building to something. Everybody's together. Everybody's working the warrior code. And the third stage, when things fall apart, everyone's like rats getting off the ship. And everybody understands that. But the warriors, from the players all the way up, have to know that there's honor. There's a discipline, there's structure, there's strength in those first 2 phases. But you're not going to get it with Greer because Greer, a man, a leader, says, I screwed up. He's never once said that. Not once.
You make great points. And I love the reference because, we all joke around. I don't even want to say joke around, but it's a cliche to say, the trenches, which is a military or war metaphor, obviously. So, there's tons of them. I agree. But segueing perfectly when you're talking about this draft class, leadership, multi-sport, absolute work ethic, professionalism. These are the words you've heard from coaches on the Dolphins, or albeit early in OTAs, and past collegiate coaches. And I know these guys. Don't sell yourself short on your draft knowledge. You're a beast with this stuff too, Curtis. What are your thoughts and your overall
$5 later
of the draft?
No, I was making a joke. Keep going.
No,
I'm serious though. No, Jason, I'm serious. When I talk with you, and I talk with Alf. I mean, you guys really know the draft. I learned in the back room, the last podcast you and I did together, I learned a ton on the podcast and before that. I didn't know that. This year, the last couple of years, I haven't been as deep, but you guys are. I know. As great American philosopher Clint Eastwood, Dirty Harry once said, a man's got to know his limitations. I know my areas. I'm learning. I'm trying to grow in it, but you guys are aces when it comes to that stuff. And you taught me a lot. Actually, you encouraged me a lot from a lot of the information you gave me last time, stuff that I didn't know. So, I'm not a draft beast. I thank you. I have some knowledge on players, but you guys, some of you guys are really awesome.
If you haven't seen George's board, thank you, Curtis. Very kind.
Yeah, I did. I saw you two guys together do the board. George.
George's board was pristine, unbelievable.
That's sweet.
It was so across the league, not only nailing Kenneth Grant and Savayanea, but thank you. Very kind words, Curtis.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, that to me, people mistake boards, or it's not a mock draft.
Right.
I can't tell. I give you an opinion, and how these guys play out ultimately is on them. But what I like is to know where my board, where does the board rank, what the league thinks, right? So when the draft happens, that's what a board's for. Not I got this guy ranked 14, went 14. No, you have this guy in the second round, and he went around that where you rank him. So your opinion falls with the league thinks. But yeah, Jason's helped me with that. Yeah,
that's a great point, George. I never thought of it like that.
Yeah,
that's how I look at it now to do it. Yeah,
I listen. I have a whiteboard. Jason doesn't even know this, and I done this my own before I had a show. That's why I was confident to put it out and I had the last 2 years. Check this out: back-to-back rankings. In 2 years, where the Dolphins picked the guys, where they were next to each other, it was so weird. In some instances, it wasn't a good thing because they were ranked a little lower. But I stare at the board and I look at it, and we do the evaluations. Me and Jason, we do all the. I look at it and say, I put myself, and this is not my. I shouldn't, this is not patting myself on the back, but I put myself in the chair of the GM. Where would I be comfortable picking this player? And I just go down the list. It goes from horizontal when we do the show to vertical. And then I just go, where am I comfortable? I really like this guy. Like, Tesla and Ranshaw this year. Caleb Ranshaw, guys I put in the top 100. Not a lot of people had, and they went 70 and 88. So, cool. That's how I
never thought of it like that. I never.
Yeah, so when you do it, thinking of it that's my advice to anybody who does a board, because I'm not always going to be perfect. Some people can do it better than me, but I look at it as where would I feel comfortable if I was turning the card in after what I watched. And that's kind of how I look at a board. So
you inspired me, man. You inspired me.
Well,
I'm quick enough now.
Hey, next year, maybe you join us. We do something together.
100%. Yeah, I'll get my chops up for that. Man. That's really. I like the way you said it, though. It makes it like almost like you're the GM, and so you're projecting and imagining. That's cool.
You have to.
Very cool.
You have to, because then you get a feel of, does my opinion, whether these players turn out to be I can't control that, right? Like,
you find your evaluation skill set, how it matches with the pros.
And if you're matching more than not, okay. And sometimes the pros are even wrong though. So I mean, So it's just that's how I do it. But yeah, I appreciate the kind words. What were we on? Oh yeah, the whole draft prospect. I thought, did you like the tone that this? I agree with you when you said this is a tone-setting draft, and this is you want to know if they're rebuilding or not? Just look at their draft. This is a I've said it over again. It's a rebuilding draft. Those two guys at the top were big, physical tone setters. Yep. Try to get rid of the soft label. I just think people, again, it comes back to people are having a hard time buying into a rebuild with the same guy. Like, it just because why they can't admit it?
They should.
Wait, you know why they can't admit it, Curtis? Is because Stephen Ross probably can't look at himself and not laugh that I'm letting this guy do this again. How can they admit it? But you know what's funny? I thought of this when you were talking. It's almost like they're so desperate, right? When they got a sniff of Tyreek and that success, that we got to go for it now. They lost it. We got to go. We're there. We're finally gonna break the break that barrier, and they just for lack of a better word, themselves all over themselves and messed up and went the other way too far. Because bottom line is the front office is not good enough to do either way, right?
They removed too many. They removed too many.
I always said this. They broke up team, a 9-10 win team, and built another one. They did it both ways, still 9 or 10 wins. That's what this front office is capable of. Bottom line, and it's time to find somebody. And you said it best. It's not a quarterback. It's not an offensive tackle. It is Stephen Ross hiring a Bill Zito, like the Florida Panthers hired, to change the franchise. He has a conviction. They made the playoffs. Were the highest scoring team. Lost in the second round. Fired the coach. Traded the second best player. I keep making that big comparison because that's a GM who has conviction, is risk averse, is not afraid to take risk, and knows what it looks like to win. And his goal is not to sell tickets and win 10 games. His goal would be to hold up the Lombardi Trophy. And until that changes, we're going to be in the same place. And I'm sorry to the fans who watch the show, but until that changes, it's what the reality is. And we're just going to keep going on this merry-go-round and Ferris wheel of kind of mediocrity and a little bit better. And sometimes we'll catch lightning in the bottom and win 10 games. Then sometimes, until it eventually bottoms out in a few years. And then we're back doing it all over again. I know
that's the thing is like, so it is so many problems. So your GM has to have a level of disassociation with the owner. He's always got to, obey the owner. But at a certain point, he says, sir, this is not the right direction. No. But Greer's not like that. Greer is ready. He just wants his job. He's willing to do whatever. And Ross is a strong-willed guy who likes control and he likes to interfere. The problem is it's very difficult for us to get a high-level GM here because of the past history. All these things he's done in the back, whether you like Flores or not, that whole thing, the Sperano thing, even Hickey. No, was it Hickey? Yeah, Hickey was in here for the 1 year. They couldn't get anybody here. There's in football, there's a code, a Warriors code. Within the coaches, there's a coaching code. And Ross has broken it so much, it's very difficult for him to get to people, because it's got to be about trust. You don't know if you're ever going to get this gig again. And you can't have people coming in and undercutting you and stabbing you from behind. And that's what the Dolphins are known for. It was the Gase in Ireland and Greer, and then it became the Flores, Ross, and Greer. And now you're even seeing like some stuff underneath, and Fangio. Remember all the optics of him going out. He's a mean old man. They always do that. So but you need a GM who's got the business side to talk in a business way to the owner and to explain to him. But then the Warriors side to say, no, fire me then. This is what I believe. I'm here to win for you. I've got to be honorable and tell you no sometimes. And we don't have that. And so the weakness flows all the way down. And that's the way it's been since Ross has been here. And I say until that change. And now Marvin Allen might be a guy like that. I don't know. It's probably hopium, but I know Greer's not. Greer's a snake. He's just a snake. He always throws everybody under the bus, whether it's Tua. Well, you can't have a quarterback getting injured. That's not how you do it. I screwed up. I didn't set him up right. I didn't get the right backup quarterback there. I didn't set him up with the right offensive line, but he always offloads responsibility because he's weak. He's weak, insecure. He's passive aggressive. He makes fun of the fans. He puts the players and the coaches on the bus. This is not the right guy. And Ross either can't see it or knows it and just feels comfortable. Until he's gone, we don't have a chance because you can't run football on the weakness. And he's weak. Sorry.
Yeah, no.
Went tirade mode.
That's okay. That's the purpose of these shows. The opinions, and I share a lot of. Yeah. So I agree. I think you said it, he's comfortable. I think that's the biggest word here. He's comfortable with the setup they have. Garfinkel's made him so much money. So on the business side, and I think Garfinkel likes Greer. I have a theory that Garfinkel likes Greer in the spot he's in because he continues to let Garfinkel do meddle in the football operations. Because you have a real GM, a Howie Roseman, somebody like that. No, buddy.
Nope.
You stick to the F1 stuff. I run the football team. And again, you said it best. Conviction. One man leading the organization. You need an alpha running it who's not afraid to make mistakes, not afraid to take risks, not afraid to go up to get Josh Allen's of the world in the draft not just take safeties as your best position. Go make the moves. You want to take Minka Fitzpatrick, find a way to go up and get Lamar Jackson. Find a way to go back up and get it. Not just say, "Oh, we liked him, but we wanted Mika." Do both.
Excellent.
And that's that. All right.
But that goes, one last part. That goes back to what's the modus operandi of the franchise? Is it show or is it go? He's making how much money on the Formula Racing or whatever? This thing's a profit killer.
It's
no matter
raining
what.
money there.
So it's very difficult.
I think he wants to win, but by no mistake, that's clearly not the priority.
No,
clearly not the priority. That to me,
shame.
Yeah, I don't doubt he wants to win. He loves the organization.
I want to win too. I want $1 million.
But I also like the money too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I also like to buy a team in order to get my money back and just keep making money now. So that's also nice. All right, OTAs kicked off here. Anything? Your early impressions on OTAs? Anything kind of change your thought or get you excited or worried? What you seen? I know Zach Wilson had a really good practice. I mean, we're not the media. We're not there, and we can't see it. I heard Zach had a great practice. From all accounts, the cornerback room is what we thought it would probably be. I don't see a legit starter there right now. And Chop is looking good. Anything on what you've heard or read on OTAs here first couple weeks change your thought on anything they need to do or just status quo?
Well, for me, it's when I played high school and then I moved up to a little college, and it was dramatic, but you could be in a Division I program and look great, and then you go to the NFL and it's dramatic. The intensity, the violence, the pressure changes things. OTAs is like flag football practically. So a lot of the stuff you want to see good things, but you can't bank on it. You just put them as data points. But there are certain things that I think that are concrete. Cam Smith, bad leg, bum pick. That we got to kind of say, all right. The rest of the stuff, I mean, you see Tua draw a pass. Look at Waddle looks good. He looks like he's making some nice cuts, but can he stay healthy? You know what I mean? Some people are talking about, this guy, look at all the pressure. He's going to be, every guy is going to be a great guy at this stage. But when the intensity steps up in training camp, when the intensity steps up in preseason games, when intensity steps up in the real games, that's when you can kind of cement it. So for me, what I'm hearing is, I like the fact that Wright put on 6 pounds, but he got blown up by Willie Gay Jr. And if he can't pass protect, he'll never be commensurate of those 2 fourth-round picks. My college career ended on a missed pass block. So it's all about these things. And that's what I'm kind of looking for, but it's very hard to find it, We heard that Hill was finally found his mojo of being a spirit animal, good player. And then 2 days later, we had this stuff. So look, it's nice. You want to see no injuries. You want to see positive storylines. Now, does that data point match up to training camp? Does that data point in training camp match up to preseason games? Does that data point match up into the season? So for me, OTAs, it's a light look. I just try to see some stuff. I'm trying to think of some of the things, people were talking about Marshall being good, okay. I don't know that Paul looks like he dropped weight. I'm happy to see that. It was nice to see Biggers with a stop, but it's all just glorified flag football at this stage.
Yeah, especially too when the pads come on, we'll really see what the big boys can do. That it's hard to evaluate. But Paul, I'm a little more confident in Paul. I didn't like the pick when we made it, but man, I keep going back to this, and I always say this, and I tell Jason, when a guy with his arm length does 31 reps, as a guy who's played, the barrel-chested short-arm guys are the ones that put up reps. So I remember Jake Long was that kind of guy. He did like 37 reps. He was like 6'7". When you get that kind of arm length and strength, I mean, he has the tools. The technique, he just kind of maybe gets away with it because he's that gifted. But
I agree.
I don't love Patrick Paul, but I think he's going to be good enough to get by. And, shout out to
I don't even think he's better than Austin Jackson.
Yeah. Oh, shout out to the Dolphins Realtor. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Whoever's watching.
Dolphins Realtor. That's my guy, man.
Everybody's watching. Make sure you guys hit that thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. Comment in the chat or in the video or in the comment section. I love your interaction. Help support us here on the channel. We appreciate that. We have Curtis here from the Ace Per Head YouTube show at Finn's News. aceperhead.com, all the great stuff he does.
Man, you're good.
Yeah,
One year, man. I'm jealous, dude. I'm jealous.
And this is our first episode of the discussion series, and we're gonna hit you with the bang at the end for tomorrow's episode. This is Jason.
That's the tease. Curtis,
Jason,
he's like WFAN. This guy.
I grew up on QAM, and that was my ultimate dream. But here's it. And we're doing back-to-back episodes, not only because we're going to start out with the bang, because Jason, this is Jason's booking our back-to-back. So we're happy he did that and got these guests for us. So we want to give Jason credit on that. All right. So I want to ask both of you guys this. I just thought Zach Sealer, he's absent, right? It's not a big deal now. But we talk about Jonas Smith. Zach Sealer is going to be 30. Like, are you guys, is there any pushback to not, you said to yourself, Curtis, 27, a 32-year-old Zach Sealer in 2027. Is there any pushback or would you have any pushback against, I know it sounds crazy, a double-digit sack guy, any pushback against him giving him a big deal? Because he wants his money. That he deserves it.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Jason, you go, brother.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, man, it's this kind of player, how he got there off a waiver from Baltimore, what he's done through it all. He is the longest tenured defensive player. Ask yourself this. If they are, as Curtis, predicts, the Super Bowl window is 2027 and they make it there and you don't see Zach Sealer and he's still playing somewhere else, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
That's my answer.
I mean, I think, look, I would love to. I'm just saying, is there a world where, look, he's absent and he's absent because of the contract, right? That's pretty 100%. Clear. Yeah, that's not, I don't think we're denying that. But is there a world where if they're internally thinking this is not the year we're going to make a run at it, we got to do a rebuild, reset, whatever you want to call it, you can get a lot for Zach Sealer. I'm not saying do it, but is there, if you're willing to go Jonnu, I mean, why don't we just do it right then? I'm saying, is there a world for that?
Well, Curtis, I want your opinion, but before that, if you look back at what they have let go or are letting go in the process, and then you see what happens next in the room, we're talking about an unexperienced cornerback room when you trade Jalen Ramsey and you obviously have misses in free agency elsewhere. You see what happened when there's a makeshift offensive line and it doesn't work. You see what happens when you don't appropriately address the safety room. You see what happens when you don't re-sign pass rushers and your numbers dip in sacks. If we're doing this again, what are we doing? It's like unbelievable. You can't take a thin defensive line already, 3 rookies, and then let them just be by themselves while trading Zach Sealer. I think that would be a horrible mistake. You keep a guy like that for the lifeblood of his career, even if it is kicking the can, because in 2007, you're still going to get everything kind of reloaded almost, and you're doing it with an absolute captain and staple. I think trading Zach Sealer, wow, that would be a really.
I dropped the bomb on you. I'm not saying I would do it. I'm just saying you did draft 3 defensive tackles. Is it wise to sign him to a big 4-year deal? What do you think he's going to cost? At least $15 a year, right? I would imagine at least.
You mentioned earlier, Curtis, and I want you to piggyback. This is like,
this goes in your theory, Curtis.
You have to solidify the trenches.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, but he's 30 years old.
Yeah. Well,
be 30.
Well, the thing is, okay, so a tight end, we don't have really any young tight ends to have to train a guy. Tight ends are speed-based. Speed drops quicker than size. Sealer hasn't had an injury history. And you could get Sealer playing to 34, which would be a 27 season. If you gave me a Tunsil deal for him, I'd trade my kids, so, I mean? Yeah, it depends. If you're talking about like a first round pick or something, no, it's not, but if someone were to give you the house, I mean, maybe that would behoove you. But the reality is you got guys like Phillips and you got Biggers and you got Grant. They need to, because it's almost like the coaches can't raise the players in certain aspects because they've never undergone the pain. They've never undergone the situation. So having these long tooths, these veteran graybeards for young players that you've invested so much, they can impart information like Calais Campbell could that you might be losing, you would be losing for a simple like normal trade. But for a Tunsil trade, yeah, of course. I mean, how could you not? You'd have to just say screw it because, I mean, you're going to get multiple first-round picks or something like that. But you're never going to get that for him. So the reality is you need to keep him here. He can be a guy that will be here in 27 and maybe 28. I mean, Calais Campbell is a freak. But I think Sealer is in a way too. Although he got a little ding. Yeah. I mean, it could go wrong way. Like he could break down this year and then you could be screwed. But I don't think at this stage you could do that because this if you took a Sealer off this team, you're talking a handful of wins, crumble. You know, I mean, like a graham cracker house. So I think you can't just blanket statement or broad brush everything. Yeah. I think he's in a different area, separate area, because he is a leader. He is of a different position group. So I would say no, unless it was like the house, you know. But if someone said, "Yeah, I'll give you 2 firsts, a second, and a third," I mean, you know, I mean, like, oh, yeah, you got my kid too. He's young; he can play eventually, you know. 10 years,
he's got upside. I just want to go on record here. I'm not saying this is a deal I would do. I don't want people to think this is something I would do. The reality is he's not at camp. He hasn't got a contract yet. It begs for the conversation. I guess the Jonnu Smith stuff kind of gets you moving and thinking like, man, that came out of the blue. Like, is there a world where it makes sense if this is what your plan is internally? And I agree with you. I wouldn't do it because I pay him. I think he's going to age well. He's had, there's not many defensive tackles that had more sacks than this guy. He's maybe one of the most underrated players in the league, but he's a leader on a team that's vacant of leaders.
But this goes back to Greer again. So
everything goes back to Greer.
Yeah, it always does. So just imagine you're on this team and it's a mentality that develops. Hey, I work hard. I do the right thing. Do I get taken care of? He did the right thing. He gave us a sweetheart deal. But look at Wilkins and Hunt, even Connor Williams. Well, we don't want to pay you. And then the guy plays on a bad leg and then loses his career. But they'll go out and give $30 million to Hill and 10 picks, and they'll go out and get Ramsey and max his contract. But the guys here, they don't want to take care of. Look at Van Ginkel. How stupid can you be? So
I'm already worked up enough, Curtis.
Yeah, don't get his blood pressure going.
Yeah, that's
they got to reset the whole culture, and the culture has to be, hey, you know what? We take care of our own. You do right. We do right. And John is not that guy. He was here for one season. You can get him his money and move him off. But with Seal, I just think it's a different scenario. We've got to change everything. There's no honor. It's like no honor among thieves. It's the land of thieves over here. So I would disagree unless it's epic.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're all agree we wouldn't move it.
Well said, Curtis. And, obviously every year, good or bad, the Dolphins seem to find a breakout player. Is it an undrafted this year? Is there someone who is on like a Jonnu Smith veteran tip where all of a sudden he becomes this player? But who do you like as a breakout?
I think Westbrook can shock. I mean, because there's no way he's not going to get the least amount of attention he's ever seen in his entire life with Hill and Waddle.
It's the same. That's the thing with the Jonnu thing. They might want to run Curtis Moore 11 personnel. You know what I mean? Have a cheap wide tight end and all the underneath stuff. Because NWI is not kind of the receiver that fits the Mike McDaniel kind of scheme. The quick, twitchy, yards after catch, create separation early.
Yep.
He's more of that Jonnu. Bigger underneath, so that not to break you off point, but that kind of that goes to your point,
Well, I've been thinking about it because I think I heard Alf and all the people mentioned it. That the move to 11 personnel.
We got to try to get Alf on, Jason.
He's great. I really like him. I think he's very knowledgeable. His Twitter personality. He cuts you up and stuff, but he's the best guy. Real nice guy. Super knowledgeable. But the thing is. If you and we should have for years. I mean, you have Waddle and Hill. How are you not in more 11 personnel? But if you go to 11 personnel, now the onus falls back on the offensive line because if you're in 11 personnel, you got a wide receiver doing the blocking, and so it's going to go right back to the internals. I like Pharaoh Brown. I think he can help move some people, but it's going to go back to this offensive line moving guys out. because if you don't move guys out, it's going to be harder to run out of 11 personnel. And then you're going to have to maybe block a little bit longer or block a little bit better because you're not going to have as many guys there. So it's going to be very interesting if we can actually do it. We should have been doing it for a while, but the offensive line and the blocking has not been commensurate with that kind of style. But if we do, and you get like, you know, 0.15 seconds, if Tua could throw clean throw time, 77% of the time he's doing now, which was 204, to say 219 or 22, the pressure for defenses to cover Waddle, Hill, and then Westbrook and Achane coming out of backfield is going to be tremendous.
Yeah.
But it's going to have to remember in 22, his clean throw time was 75%, 235. And then it dropped to 209 and then 204. So if this guy with what he's got can get into that range, I think they're going to have to take care of Hill. They're going to have to put a second eye on Waddle. And then Westbrook is going to be one-on-one, and he's a big guy. And so there's a real – and then Achane as well. So it's going to be – but it's going to come down. Can you block long enough? Can you make the inside run out of that formation to get the leverage from the linebackers? So we'll see. We'll see, mate. That's the intention, but we'll see.
Yeah, I'm hoping a little more inside zone, a little more – power gap. I thought maybe with the addition of Jonah S. and maybe with Ollie Gordon, because I mean Ollie Gordon can run the outside zone. Speed is a big thing on the outside zone for these guys, and he doesn't have the explosiveness. He's very, very like limited explosiveness. So if we can get some more inside zone, that's the key. Everybody, you want to get this shell and cover two, run the ball, man. Because if teams are having 4 or 5 guys in the box and you're getting 1 yard, you're never going to get the ball downfield. That's just you got it. That's where it all starts. All right,
I totally agree. I've been saying that for a while. I'm down with you, man.
And
the first down where Ollie Gordon on third picks up running behind Joe Savaianea. That's what we want to do.
You're getting me excited.
That's what we want to do.
Jason,
right at the A gap.
You're giving me I got some wait, there's some hopium coming back in. I thought it was all gone. All right, let's close it with these two subjects here because we want to get everybody out of here before the Panthers game at 8.
Good luck, all.
I want to ask this. Jason hates percentages. You don't have to answer it, Curtis. I'm a big percentage guy. Percentage. 2-part question. First percentage. McDaniel is here after the Spain game, and next year Greer and McDaniel are both back. Give me a percentage in each of those.
The dark side of me wants to say 100% for Greer and 0% for McDaniel.
Your head in your heart, right?
Yeah, because I think it was Jason that said that. I just think that Greer's always setting somebody up to fall, and I think that Tua and McDaniel are the likely candidates, and then Greer will be back with Weaver. I just don't see any. I want to believe in Alf, but it's such a long history. So I'm saying, you know what? I think he's going to be here after the Spain game because I think we're going to have some early wins.
Yeah,
I think the tail ends where it's going to be. I think both will happen, but McDaniel might not make it by the end of the season.
Yeah. So you think there's a low chance that both of them are back for the 26th season? More likely McDaniel.
Yeah, I know. More likely Greer because I think Ross has a hard time letting him go.
Yeah, he I don't know what it is. There's something he has on him, but it is something. All right, last question. This season, give me you've seen the schedule, kind of your win range for this team, assuming they're somewhat healthy.
I already said 7 to 9, and my hopium is 10.
Okay, yeah, I think I'm right. I've always said, and Jason knows, Tua gives you a healthy Tua. You got a floor. You know, you got a floor of 8 wins, and if everything breaks right, as long as you have Tyreek, whatever you think of him, healthy and motivated, and you have Tua healthy, you're going to be in games. You're going to score points. And
I just don't think we can get, some people, I heard somebody on my channel call me, I'm a bad guy. I'm a Jets fan because I didn't think we'd win 12 games or 14 games. But, we're rated to get like 8.5.
Yeah.
So I think that's the.
I like the over a little bit on that. If I was going to go, I think it's a good number. I think 9's a good number for this team. All right, Curtis, man, I hope you enjoyed in our first discussion series. We'll hope to have you back. Everybody, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button to the channel. Comment in the chat or in the video and on the comment section. We appreciate it, and we appreciate Curtis. Make sure you follow his channel. Before you go, before you go,
I need you. Can
All
you put yourself in the can?
Yeah,
and I
got
can
you. I got
and
you.
play it.
Here it is. Curtis, before you go, let everybody know where they can find you and find all your work and what you got going on.
Yes, sir. Ace Per Head on YouTube. It's a weird name, but it's the sponsor that it's their channel, so it's Ace Per Head. But you'll find my videos. I most of the content they have is for me, and I write for Finn's News along with a guy called Jimmy Bourbon, so you can catch some of my articles there. I do the. Yeah, I think it's a pseudonym. I've never met him.
Yeah.
He hired me, so I don't know. He won't tell me.
Yeah. He's writing the check, right? Who cares?
yeah, whatever. Call yourself whatever you want.
Yeah.
Just don't call me late for dinner. So I try to do the Twitter thing. I think it's Curtis at Finn's News 1. I'm trying to deal with it, but it's I'm learning, so that you can find me there. But that's basically Ace Per Head YouTube. That's where I do my thing.
Don't sell yourself short, man. You have a great channel. I've seen it, and
Thank you,
we'll do some more collaborations. I appreciate it. Everybody, okay, I promise you, tomorrow night, you want to tell them, Jason, who we got tomorrow at 7 p.m. for the back-to-back first week, second episode of the discussion series. Floor is yours, Mr. Jason Sarney.
Thank you, sir. We got one of the insiders. We got one of the beat writers. We got one of the old school OGs in Big O, Orlando Azagari himself. So I cannot wait. One of the more awesome, genuine dudes. Just really got a chance to know him at the Zach Thomas Hall of Fame induction. Just a special reporter of the Miami Dolphins community. Great dude.
Very cool.
He leaves nothing on the table. He'll let you know everything, and he's got great sources, great insight. So it should be a fun show tomorrow night. The link should be up for that show later tonight. We appreciate all your help. Make sure you guys, again, hit that thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you comment. Thank you, Curtis, for Jason, myself.
Thank you.
We're out. Fins up. Go Cats. Let's get the Panthers get a win here tonight. All right. Fins up. We're out.